Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So I wanted to talk about the new teaser that came out for season 3 of The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, where we actually learned a little bit about the first episode here. And I do want to talk about the first episode and I guess specifically London and what I think we could expect from that storyline, just being in London in general, because I think that it's only going to be a one episode thing. And so I want to talk about that and talk about what we could learn about the world overall, because even though it is just one episode, it does seem like they're going to be giving us a lot of information about the world in that first episode. So yeah, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. And also, I did want to ask if any of you wanted to see a review or discussion on Friday the 13th's, I guess, Sweet Revenge is what you would call it. It's basically the Jason Universe's short film that came out yesterday. I watched it. I was there during the premiere. And yeah, I do want to talk about the story and give some thoughts on Friday the 13th in general. But obviously, I do want to know if anyone wants a video on that. Yeah, just let me know. But so The Walking Dead actually released a preview, a season 3 preview earlier today, and it's interesting because it actually gives us quite a bit, I would say, of the first episode. I think that everything with Spain and like all of that is going to be like the later episodes, right? I do think the first episode is really just going to be them in London and meeting this new character, Julian, which, obviously the character I believe is going to be a really great character. I think he is just a one episode character. I really do believe that there's not going to be a lot more than that. Stephen Merchant is playing the character. His name is Julian, and he's a really great actor. So I do think that, he's going to do really amazing in this role. Like just in this teaser, you see him and Norman Reedus actually laughing about a bunch of stuff. So it just seems like they're having a lot of fun in general here. So I feel like the scenes here and just whatever is going to be, here with the story, it's going to be awesome. I'm really curious on like how everything's going to play out though. Like I feel like, because when Daryl and Carol get to Spain, I don't know if he's there. So he's obviously on the boat though, and there's a lot of shots of like a storm happening and he's on the boat. So I'm assuming that maybe he goes missing or they see that he, turned to a walker or something like that at some point. But that's my prediction, is that he is somehow going to die towards the end of the episode. I think that it makes a lot of sense, but we're going to learn a lot about the character. The one thing that we actually learn in this teaser is that, he's the only person in London. And we'll talk about that in a second here. But just for his story, it's very much like he just wants, I guess, a friend, right? That's really what it is. And so I feel like you can kind of get those vibes from a lot of the footage that we've seen here. Is he's very much just like wanting to help out a lot. And Daryl and Carol are like, I don't know. And I think that's why he lets them use his boat, because he does just kind of say like, you guys don't know how to sail or whatever. And then Daryl and Carol are like, well, how do you think we got here? Right. So I feel like, honestly, he's going to go with everything they say. I think that it just makes a lot of sense for that character to be like, well, I just want a friend. Like I want friends in general. So I'm just going to kind of do whatever, because I'm the only person here in London. It's probably been many, many years that he's just been there by himself. And so I think that, it's kind of interesting that he doesn't leave. I wonder if that is something they'll probably talk about that, I imagine, in the episode, right? Because like, why doesn't he just leave and go somewhere else? Maybe it's because it's just home. So that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I do wonder why he's not leaving, because like there's a lot of other places that have a lot of other people. Like he doesn't have to be so alone there, right? But yeah, I'm really excited to see this character, even though he is going to be a one episode character. I think that, well, that's my prediction anyways. I don't think he's going to survive past episode 1. I'm just excited for the story. I can't wait to see a lot more from, I think, the London storyline. And so let's talk about that. The London storyline is really interesting because it's going to be one episode. And for me personally, this is going to be a lot of fun because I want to know a lot more about the world in general. And there's, a couple of places that I've always wondered, like, London, like, what's it like there? And the one thing that we learned from the opening minutes is that there's like no one there. Actually, I don't even think we learned that. The question was raised during the opening minutes of the season, but mostly I think during Comic-Con they talked about that, or at some point before, maybe it was a previous teaser or something, but they talked about Julian being like the only person there. So I do honestly think that that's really what it's going to be. And if you're looking at the world in general there, like I feel like the military at some point were just completely wiped out. Like they sort of blocked out everyone, and they really, we learned a little bit about that actually in the season 2 finale, right? Because they were going to London. They were taking that channel, I believe is what you call it, all the way to London, and that's sort of what they talked about. The military blocked off everything, and it seems like that had a really bad effect on everyone in London. Like, it was really, really, like, it was blocked off. Like, no one could leave, and also no one can get in. So we're seeing the effects of what that did to London, and it's kind of, it's honestly insane to see that. And again, just to see more of the world is incredible. And yeah, like, I'm really going to appreciate that and just enjoy them being there for this episode, because I don't know if we're ever going to get another episode or story or anything with the characters in London again. I really do feel like it's just going to be them in Spain, and then they're going to go back to America. And I don't know if we're going to really explore other parts of the world unless they do something like more Tales of the Walking Dead universe, or like Tales of the Walking Dead season 2, right? Like, I just feel like once Daryl and Carol go back to America, that's basically going to be it for stories like this. So I'm really just going to appreciate the story. Now, I will say it's very cool that Greg Nicotero is actually, working on this show, because he doesn't work on Dead City, I believe. Well, I don't see him associated with that show a lot, so maybe he does some work there or whatever. Like, I don't know. I really don't know, but I just see him really involved with this show quite a bit. And so it's awesome, because obviously he's like, a big part of The Walking Dead. I did see a lot of people like wanting me to, I guess, talk about what he was saying about, I guess technically it's like content creators or just whoever that talk about The Walking Dead and all that. And it was something like, I can't remember exactly what it was, so I don't want to like misquote it or anything. I don't even remember what he said exactly, but I know that there was some drama with just like something to do with, I guess theories of like what's going to happen on the show. And, a lot of us, we think we know where the story should go, this and that. And obviously they know as well, or maybe they know better. Like, I don't know the whole thing, but to me, I feel like a lot of it was just, I don't know, like, I personally don't really care. Like, I have a lot of respect for him. So to me, it's one of those things where, I think maybe he's just kind of not in that same world. And I mean, a lot of people kind of view things as like, you need to go to school for this and do that to sort of have an opinion on things or to be able to write stories. But that's not necessarily the case, because like, I've been to school for like writing and stuff with film, and I didn't really learn a lot there. I learned a lot more on my own. There's a couple of things I learned in terms of editing film, certain techniques that are used and whatnot, but that's pretty much it for the most part. So I just, for me, again, I have a lot of appreciation for him and just what he's done for The Walking Dead. And I imagine that he didn't mean to say what he said overall. So I think that, yeah, I don't know, that's sort of how I view that. But it is really awesome to have him a part of the show here. And, what they were talking about in terms of the story here, I guess, for Daryl Dixon. And that's the one thing with this show is like, like what he says, like, to paraphrase, it's like, the global nature of the show or something like that. Like, that's the thing about this show is like, compared to Dead City, this feels like a bigger story. And that was my issue with Dead City, right? Is that it just feels like a very small story, which I think can work sometimes, but I just feel like right now, because you're only having those two characters there, you can't have it such a small story. Like, The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, you're able to do it a little bit, but it's because they're going to these crazy locations and they're trying to survive. Like, that's the thing about both shows. When you really look at Dead City and Daryl Dixon, Dead City, they're in one place. They're focused on a storyline the entire time. There's not a lot of trying to survive, right? Daryl Dixon, they're all trying to survive, right? Like, they're all literally trying to survive and get back home. And like, that's the story. Like, I feel like if Dead City was about that, where Maggie and Negan were all trying to get back home or something like that, it would be a little bit more exciting, but it doesn't have that element there. So I think with this show, there is that, right? You're seeing all these different communities, all these different places, and it just keeps this fresh feel and a lot of excitement, I would say, for the Walking Dead world in general. So yeah, honestly, I'm just really excited for another season of this. I feel like this is going to be really incredible. In terms of the visuals and stuff, I will point out one thing, and it is kind of hilarious, but I do feel like, as they're promoting each season of the show, the first look we usually get is something that's not completely done, like in terms of like the visual effects and everything, or like even like color grading and everything, right? Like, it's not completely done. And I've noticed that a lot with the spinoffs is like, the closer and closer we get to the premiere, the better quality of, the scenes that we're seeing. And I also want to point out this. I've been wanting to point this out for a month and I keep forgetting, but it does, like, I don't know if this was intentional, if someone just forgot, but it's really hilarious because in Dead City, season 2, I think it was the finale, there's this one shot of Maggie, and behind her, or I guess to her right, I believe, there's like this, I guess, tank of water or whatever. And throughout a lot of the promotion, we were always seeing the same like thing of water, but it was green. And so it was like, okay, well, it's green or whatever. But the same shot when the finale actually aired is blue. So I was like, wait, what? Because in the very first episode, we saw that everything in those tubes and all that were green, right? And it seemed like that was intentional. Like it was actually like green because, I mean, it looked really cool, right? And so I kind of assumed that a lot of the promotion there of that one shot, like it was just that, like it just made sense because it's all the same thing, right? But then you get this one shot here where you see that it's blue. And so it almost looks like just like what, normal water, I guess. But that's what's kind of confusing because if you look to the right, like the top part of the image here on the right, you do see some green over there. So I'm like, is that green screen as well? Like, is all of this green screen? Because it does seem like it. It really does. And I feel like if you're looking in the back there, they also forgot about the green screen back there, but they just kind of left it because, like, I mean, to do the visual effects for that, that's kind of far away. That'd be just, I guess, just a lot of work for no reason. But I don't know. I just found that kind of interesting because why did this change colors? Like, to me, that's a visual effects thing. They did that in post-production, and I guess they never did it for like the teasers and all that. And yeah, I don't know. I just kind of noticed that, and I wanted to point it out because it's always bugged me. And I've wanted to talk about it for like a month now. I keep telling myself, okay, bring it up at this point, bring it up here, and I keep forgetting. But I actually remember now. So yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna leave it here. Definitely post your thoughts down below on the season 3 preview here. I guess it's mostly the premiere. So let me know what you think of the character Julian, and also, are you looking forward to the next season? And like, I guess like, what are you looking forward to? Like, if you are, anyways, is it just the general story? Are you interested in seeing like what they're gonna come up with here? Because for me, that's kind of what it is. Is like, I just can't wait to see the next part of the story, even though I don't really know what's gonna be happening overall because we don't know any specifics of like what the characters are like and like all the, I guess story parts, but like I just am in general excited to see Spain, I think, and just the different worlds and see where Daryl and Carol go next. And I think that's just that. But anyways, post all your thoughts down below. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.